Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Do you guys remember this one? And I gotta tell you, this is one of the easiest to predict things there ever has been in the history of our species. But Jim Cramer, he is so wrong about everything that has to do with investing. It's like he's new to investing. I don't know how he can be so consistently wrong about things, including crypto, obviously. But do you remember that in December of 2022, it's hard to believe that much time, it's been over 2.5 years now, but in December of 2022, Jim Cramer called XRP a giant con. Do you remember that? I just gotta tell you, that comment has aged like a fine milk. It's all curdled and shit. Oh, this is just too fantastic. And it was the easiest thing to predict. I knew it wasn't going to age well back then because XRP is functionally useful. It's just, sometimes it's kind of cute when these people who actually don't know a damn thing about crypto have really, really strong opinions about crypto, especially the ones that say they're very strong and undeserved opinions on national television. Those ones, I think it's just adorable sometimes, and I love it. And this is an example of it. This guy had no idea what the hell he's talking about. He'd done no research into XRP. He doesn't understand why businesses find XRP legitimate useful, including in actual payment flows inside of businesses. He has no idea. He has absolutely no idea why businesses find it useful and why it makes business models possible that otherwise wouldn't be possible. He had an opinion, and he just blurted it out on national television. XRP is a giant con. So I want to share with you the dumbass things that he had to say so we can laugh about it, mocking, oh, so deserved. And then I got a couple other things, and it's just ridiculous how, it's ridiculous how so many people attack XRP, but the cool thing is, mind you, these onslaughts, they've been coming since the beginning of XRP's existence. Despite that, they can be as salty as they want, and they can lie about it, they can be as uninformed and say as many stupid comments as they want publicly. They cannot stop XRP. They do not have the power to stop XRP. It has already won. That's why it's a beautiful thing to see this. Why do you think the toxic Bitcoin maximalists can't shut the hell up about XRP? They just can't. Because they're threatened by it, folks. XRP does what Bitcoin can't. And so it's a little refresher here. So you can see here's a headline from December 11th, 2022. CNBC's Jim Cramer describes XRP, Solana, Dogecoin as giant cons. I got a few examples here. I just thought I'd read a few quotes for you so you can see what he actually had to say at the time. Jim Cramer on national television said, "The whole thing seems bottomless. It's just a giant con. Solana, XRP, and Dogecoin, those are all cons." We put up XRP, Solana, and Dogecoin. Those are all, I believe, cons. Why don't we put up a bunch of stocks valued at the same size? I'm tired of the con. That's right, folks. If something has a low price in Jim Cramer's mind, that means it's a con because reasons and fundamentals be damned. We don't need to know about the fundamentals. We don't need to research. The price is low, therefore it's a con. Doesn't that sound like somebody who's new to investing? They don't want to buy the asset when the price is low, but then when it goes through the roof, then they feel validated. Oh, not a con. Price is high. What a stupid way of approaching the world of investing. And again, this is an alleged financial guru. Now, of course, in reality, he is nothing of the sort. I don't know that there's anybody worse at investing that's worse than Jim Cramer. Like on the public scene, who's worse than Jim Cramer when it comes to investment? Can you think of a public figure who is worse than I can't. In terms of talent, I can't think of somebody who does a worse job than Jim Cramer. I mean, it's funny. That's why you got like all the inverse Kramer memes on social media. They're hilarious. Like I've rather enjoyed them. But look at this guy. It's hard to believe this is a real human, and people take him seriously. And look, here's another quote. Let me find this here. Yeah, here's Jim Cramer again, December 2022. "I think you should be negative on crypto. I'm negative on XRP, Litecoin, and Doge because I haven't been able to find anyone that takes them. It's like $80 billion worth of non-Bitcoin that's destined to be wiped out." What does he mean take them? Is he talking about like being used like instead of the like fiat currency like USD? I mean, because there already were places where you could use like third parties that take it and then effectively convert it behind the scenes. So that did exist Even that did, if that's what he meant, that's existed for years and years and years. And there's been more of that actually as time has passed. I'm guessing that may have been what he meant right there. But even outside of that, what do you mean? You haven't been able to find anything? Do you have the internet? Did you try using your fat little fingers to type XRP utility? What's XRP used for? Anything of the sort? Did you find out it's used as a bridge currency? That's the most famous use case with Ripple. Did you find out that people tokenize assets on the XRP ledger? And that's been happening for over a decade, actually. I mean, gold was first tokenized on the XRP ledger, I think, in 2015. Somewhere around there. That's utility. That's good for XRP. XRP is required for that to happen on the XRP ledger. And there's all sorts of other companies. I mean, did you read any of the amicus briefs in the SEC v. Ripple case from companies like TapJets that used XRP to solve what they call the Friday night problem? When banks are closed, traditional finance is closed. If you want to charter a private jet, you can actually just use crypto, and XRP is the most commonly used crypto by TapJets. They accept XRP. Did you not know that? Like, that's a payment with XRP. But you couldn't find one example. And so then XRP at this time was 38 cents. It's all a con, and you just wish that it would go away. These comments have aged like a fine milk. And it is hilarious, and he deserves to be mocked for it because this is stupid. And you shouldn't have firm opinions on something that you clearly have not done any research on, because you'll look like a fool when you do that. The honest thing is to say, this looks fishy to me. I'm skeptical about this. Haven't looked into it yet, but it's, when I see something like this, I could have respected that at least. That would have been fine. I think that it's healthy to start investigating crypto and looking into it with a serious dose of skepticism. That's what I did. It's not that I thought that with some level of confidence that crypto didn't make sense or XRP didn't make sense. No. But I was like, okay, is there really something to this? I was like, I don't want to get tricked. I want to research this. I want to find out if this actually does make sense. That's a smart starting point. That's a very reasonable frame of mind going into doing legitimate, good faith research in earnest. Like, yes, that would be the thing to do. Now, of course, in reality, you get this headline now, and this is why I'm talking about this. I saw this headline from the Crypto Basic, which is what prompted me to make this video, because it's just too fun. It is too fun. Because I'd forgotten about this. I made a video at the time mocking Jim Cramer. It's like, okay, well, this isn't going to go well for you. And here we are 2.5 years later, and I got reminded of it. I forgot it was that long ago. I was like, when was this, 2024, 23? And then I researched it, and I was like, oh my God, this is the end of 2022. It's been a hot minute. But look at this headline. Here's how much XRP has risen since Jim Cramer called it a giant con. The price of XRP has surged nearly tenfold since CNBC host Jim Cramer dismissed it as a giant con. Oh my God. So it's a giant con. It's persisted for over 12 years, and instead of the con being found out, the bubble, it just inflates, it pops, and then it gets bigger again. Where does that happen if there's an actual scam, an actual con? Where does that happen? It doesn't. If a bubble inflates and there's something that's an actual scam, an actual con, then it gets found out, and then the bubble pops, and then that's just the end of it. That's what happens. That's what happens with Ponzi schemes. You ever heard of Bernie Madoff? Instead, we're seeing more and more money flow in XRP over time and more actual utility. It could not be more obvious. But there are some people that just push these stupid-ass narratives. Remember this headline, too? This is from June of last year, 2024. Forbes brands XRP as good-for-nothing zombie crypto. Forbes, somebody wrote for Forbes saying that XRP is a zombie good-for-nothing crypto. XRP is one of the most useful cryptos there's ever been in the history of the asset class. And it's not hard to find this out. Just operate in good faith, seek the truth, and you can very easily find it. It is not hard to discover this, actually. It really is not. Good for nothing? It's good for oh, okay. Well, if that's the case, why is this happening? Here's a list of the 11 firms that are seeking to launch spot XRP ETFs. Why are they doing that? All these reputable firms with trillions in assets under management collectively, I bet. I mean, well, I didn't actually add these up. It could be less than that. Oh, no, it is. Oh, it would be, yeah, because even Franklin Templeton's at 1.5 trillion. So, yeah, you're already there. You're multi-trillions. So, collectively, all these firms, multi-trillion dollars in assets under management, and they all fell for the con. They should have talked to Jim Cramer, I guess, because Jim Cramer knows stuff about crypto. No, he doesn't. He sure as hell does not. Why do you think all these firms are doing it? Because XRP is a legitimate thing, and there's demand for it. There's demand for multiple XRP spot ETFs. That's why these 11 firms are going for it. And there's no other altcoin that has that many firms seeking to launch a spot ETF for it. No other. XRP is number one in that category. Not surprising. And then there was this, and this, I gotta mock this too. Look at this headline. XRP or Solana. Who would get more inflows if ETFs listed together? Bitwise CEO and Bloomberg analyst reveal. Well, I don't really want to read the whole article here. I just want to point out a part here where James Seifert, who is a respected individual in the world of crypto, is just making fun of XRP. It's very obvious. And he's not going in like, so he may have, he probably does have XRP Derangement Syndrome, but the way he's articulating this, it's not as full-blown XRP Derangement Syndrome as you might see from others. But my God, he's just disparaging XRP and looking down on people that hold it as if we're all uneducated. So you're telling me that XRP, which has been in the top 10 coins by market cap its entire freaking existence, over a decade now, despite an attack by the SEC, it's gone through all of that. And it's really just because of a bunch of people that just don't understand how crypto works? That's what James Seifert here is arguing, and he's pretty famous in crypto now for having followed the developments leading up to the spot Bitcoin ETFs getting approved. That's when his follower count went through the roof, I believe. And so he said here, look at this quote. This is James Seifert. That's him right here, where I move my mouse on the screen here. He says, anyone I know who doesn't really know this space at all, like couldn't tell you how a blockchain works, they like XRP. These people are just insufferable. And again, they can hate on XRP all they want, and they do. Oh, they certainly do. But it is comical. And no matter how much hate they have, how much venom is in their hearts irrationally for XRP, it still just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and more adopted and more adopted and more adopted. And he has to know this. He just irrationally hates it. He knows that there is no other coin for which there's more demand from the ETFs. He knows that. But it means that you don't know how blockchain works. Is that right, James Seifert? I don't think so. I don't think that's the case. In fact, what I have found in my experience, having been in the XRP community since late 2017, is that the community, broadly speaking, is full of a very diverse group of individuals with tons of backgrounds, all walks of life here, and they're informed. And we're actually here not because we're in a cult like the Bitcoiners are. They're in a toxic Bitcoin maximalist cult. We're not here for those reasons. It's because we believe XRP makes sense because it has actual utility, and we actually have done research. How about that? But you just want to sit there in your with your snooty little face there, acting like we don't know what we're talking about when we are very well researched on XRP. It's just it's laughably stupid. It's laughably stupid. And this is the crap that we have to put up with. But no matter how much they try and crap on XRP, they cannot stop it. And believe me, they have been trying from the beginning. Proof right here on the screen. I've covered this before on my channel a couple times, but it's probably been years at this point. I couldn't even tell you the last time I did. Chart analyst named Peppa shared this screen grab, but I pulled up the actual site in the past year, but I came across this and was like, yep, this is what we've been putting up with since the beginning here. Look at this. This is a post on a Bitcoin forum in 2013. May 22nd, 2013. Somebody named Matthew wrote the following. This is amazing. If you look at the Ripple giveaway thread, you can see that lots of people were apparently changing their original request posts from requesting XRP to claiming it's a scam. And so, folks, Ripple, the company, actually was giving out XRP for free in small quantities initially, but they encountered a problem with that strategy because they did want to give out a bunch of it to try and get adoption going. The strategy failed. The reason it failed is because once you started giving out tons of free XRP, and once there was an actual open market for it, which was developed in 2013 and it was traded on exchanges, all you were doing was suppressing the price. Like, you couldn't just endlessly give it away and expect that it was actually going to get adopted. So they couldn't even give it away without ruining the ecosystem. So they actually stopped. They did it for a very brief period of time, and then they gave it out. So anyway, what he's referencing here is people were seeking to get free XRP, which Ripple did briefly give away. So they went from requesting to XRP for free to changing their posts and saying they're just claiming XRP as a scam. Well, why did that happen? Well, Matthew continues. He says, then someone with some integrity changed their post midstream, the apparent astroturfing, to let everyone know what's going on. And so here's a post from somebody named Go West. And they wrote, I was offered, and this is wild, this is real life, this really happened. I was offered $550 to say that Ripple is a scam. I received an interesting message on my Bitcoin inbox today. It said that a user going by the name of Trade Fortress was paying forum members 5 Bitcoin So I guess based on the math, there would have been Bitcoin was what, $110 at the time then. So now we're $600,000. That's kind of funny thing. He could have just not had his hate, and then he just could have had all the or the Bitcoin today, which is anyway. So this Trade Fortress guy was paying 4 members 5 Bitcoin to edit their posts in this thread to say that Ripple is a scam. This is the exact text he wanted each user to post. And so this was an organized attack against XRP and against Ripple, the company. And it read as follows. Tons of people were copying and pasting this posting. They said, Ripple is a scam. Ripple is a get-rich-quick scheme for its creators. A private for-profit company. It is not open source. It is centralized, akin to PayPal rather than Bitcoin. And then they provided a link to a website which is now defunct. Isn't that funny? Again, we've had to put up with this crap since the beginning, since the inception of XRP, because the toxic Bitcoin maximalists feel very threatened by XRP because it actually works. And Bitcoin, it is the pet rock of crypto, doesn't do a whole lot of anything. And I say that as a Bitcoin holder since 2017 because I'm in tune with reality. Bitcoin doesn't do much of anything. It just exists and people like the attributes, and I'm happy with that. I'm at peace with that. But let's not pretend that XRP isn't under attack from these jackasses. Anyway, he continues and says, ironically, in the earlier days of Bitcoin, 2010, 2011, and well into 2012, the same accusations were spread about Bitcoin. Bitcoin was a Ponzi scheme, a pyramid scheme, a scam, etc. The same Bitcoin supporters that fought these accusations tooth and nail are now saying the same thing about Ripple. And folks, they have no integrity here. They absolutely don't. They want what they want. They've got heavy Bitcoin bags. They always have. And so they're just going to fight anything that threatens them. If they didn't feel threatened by XRP, this wouldn't be happening. Anyway, he continues. Ripple is led by Jed McCaleb, founder of Mt. Gox and eDonkey, and Chris Larson, eLoan and Prosper, both successful businessmen who do not have an interest in sullying their good names. Arthur Brito, Stefan Thomas, and David Schwartz are major contributors to Ripple's development, and all played an active role in Bitcoin's early success. OpenCoin, the company overseeing Ripple, has already raised venture capital from firms led by the co-founders of PayPal and Netscape. These firms do not invest in scams, but in companies with unique ideas that will turn a significant profit if successful. And so, folks, there you go. Very rich, successful, reputable people, even back in the beginning, investing in this whole thing. And so then, but even then, we had to deal with claims that it was a scam, that as they said, Ripple is a scam. And then you have dumbass Jim Cramer, almost a decade later, saying it's a con. He's saying the same thing. He's arguing the same point. It's just a con. What is actually wrong with these humans? They walk amongst us, folks. They drive automobiles. They vote. Some of them vote. I bet Jim Cramer votes. God damn it. I don't know what he believes, but I don't trust his thought process, whatever it is. Here we go. Oh my God, folks. I'm telling you, man, but the beautiful thing is, as ridiculous as all this is, we get to laugh about it, we get to mock this stuff, because we're just going to keep finding success, because since XRP does make sense, and we are right, you're just going to see more and more adoption, and it's just going to piss them off to no end. The more clearly XRP gets just ingrained in the crypto space, and I'd say it's already firmly entrenched, but the more that happens, and the more adoption happens, which amazingly does keep occurring, the more they're just going to be endlessly infuriated. That makes my heart sing. That makes me happy. That's where I get my greatest joy in life, is knowing that these people, these miserable sons of bitches, are just distraught by XRP's continued adoption. And they'll keep lying. They'll mislead their massive. Some of them have massive follower accounts on social media. They have no shame. They'll keep misleading massive quantities of people. But it doesn't matter, because in the end, we are right. XRP will continue to be adopted, and the price is going to go up as a result. Giant con or most useful crypto ever created? Come on, folks. I know you guys know listening to this, but wow. Oh, it's just crazy. So this is a well-deserved update video. I will just say that. Thanks for nothing, Jim Cramer. You talentless hack. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, To the moon, Lambo!